You are joining. Oh, hopefully you can hear me now. Let me know if you can't hear me or see me. And just wanting to be thoughtful tonight about, our experience with burnout. And I'll just take that all the way over to the opposite side of the spectrum, which is you're passionate about something right now. You are really wanting something and you really wish that maybe something was different. That's usually what causes us to let circumstances negotiate the terms of how we're living. That's really how I think about burnout. And often we think about it as a state that we're in, and it's really just the state that we're thinking in. And that is a-okay. Now, if you're joining, you might be thinking, okay, I've been hearing that my staff are burned out, or I've been thinking that I'm a little bit burned out. What do I want to do with this? What do I want to do with this? So I want to address, this is a check-in time for us. Nurses and leaders and doctors are very passionate about everything, in my opinion. The sword we die on, I'm just saying. And this whole 10 minutes is going to be an invitation for you to think differently about this. So I'm going to pause here for a second, and you may have written down like what I'm burned out about, what I need to find out. We will get to some things that I can give to you. A couple things about burnout. And the first thing I want you to do is write down, what am I passionate about? Where's your head at with that? Okay, now that you've written those down, I'll tell you one of the things I'm really passionate about is my work, and that is being around clinicians that are changing the world. And I have gone through periods of time, and you might be able to relate to this, where that seems really shameful, that work is really important to me. And it always has been, and for a lot of reasons. I'm also really passionate about my curated wardrobe, and I curate the way I work and the impact that I make in the same way as I do my wardrobe. And my other passion is my family, not always in that order. Some days clothes give me so much happiness above all things, and some days work gives me happiness over all other things. And some days my family gives me so much passion over all those things. And so if you've written down what you're passionate about, is that something that you've been honoring or noticing in your life? Now, a lot of the things that I might bring up might not be comfortable, and I'm really going to call you all to the carpet. Their burnout is when we're letting circumstances just run our lives, and that's okay. That happens sometimes. We just get so we get stuck in our vision. We get stuck in the things that we're doing, and that is a-okay. So I'm not trying to call you out. I am going to ask you to probably feel a little bit in your gut. Going to be taking on some of that emotional burden in your mind and body, even in the next few minutes. That our burnout comes when we try to act our way out of that. And I'm just going to ask you to be like, oh, yeah, okay. Maybe you don't have any of that. Maybe you're just here to pass that along. Maybe you want to be able to talk to people about burnout. And I'm going to give you a couple ways here, share some ideas. What stands in the way of your vision is believing that something is in the way of creating that vision in life. And I'll tell you, I geek out on burnout. I don't believe that you can remain in burnout. I think that if it's there, it's something that you can solve immediately. And we get burned out because us passionate people either are not getting our solution immediately or as fast as we want, or in the way that we want, or we're trying to control someone else. I mean, those are really things, and that's okay. And sometimes it's going to happen to all of us in all walks of our lives. So go ahead and get generous with your vision. This is possible for nurses and doctors. Science was built on vision. somebody has an idea for the world and they create it, and we learn data, and we create more vision, and we learn data, and that's exactly what I want you to do for your life. And so if you're looking at your am I passionate about list, and that's nothing that you're doing in your day-to-day, that doesn't mean quit your job, but it means, do we need to ask another question? What else am I passionate about? Or how am I not tapping into any of those things today? And you might be wondering, like, how does this apply to burnout, Andrea? I want to know what to do with my burnout. Well, the first thing we want to do is ask ourselves for this time to kind of analyze or look at those passions. And we often, as nurses, get to the place where we don't feel like we have choices, and being burnt out is the choice. Circumstances do not negotiate the terms of your life. When that happens, we can get into a hamster wheel or a burnout phase. And it's only a hamster wheel or a burnout if we think it is. There could be any number of reasons that that's in your life, or you're feeling that way and thinking that way, but that's not our focus in this moment. The why doesn't matter as much, because I can give you a process that you can recreate over and over. What we are going to focus on is what skills and strategies that you want to understand today that will affect your life in an impactful way. If you're here because you want to know specifically what to do with a problem, because it seems like the cause, if you hadn't had all this junk happen today, you wouldn't be feeling this way. Junk sucks. You don't. So go ahead and move to the farthest end of that problem that you can. If you've been working on this problem, just take your mind to the farthest place from it. Just imagine that done. Imagine problem solved, or I don't even want to do that anymore if it's going to be this way. Sometimes we have to get a little relief and release that. Just allow yourself to set the issue down right beside you, just like this. Yes, go for it. I'm going to pause here and see if we have any questions or comments. Okay, so go to the opposite end. Like, what if I don't want this if it's this way? I'm not seeing any of my passions here. Or I am feeling like I know my passions, but I'm letting myself tell myself that I can't do that. And you certainly can. The first thing we're going to do is make ourselves non-negotiable. In the culture of one, which is the process I created, our first step is to make ourselves non-negotiable. I'm going to say it again, non-negotiable. Number one priority is you. So starting, I'm going to give you the weekend to kind of process this, and on Monday, you start your non-negotiable. This means that you understand your passions, what you need for yourself, and you schedule them for you first. Now that's just going to blow your mind. You're not going to think it's possible. Your brain's going to share all of the things why that can't happen. And the goal here is to meet yourself so that you can really ask yourself some questions and really debunk burnout for your own self. Like, I'm trying to help you build evidence, not just a vision, not just passion. I'm just not asking you to be woo-woo. I'm actually going to give you a system to get rid of your burnout. That doesn't mean that the effects of what you've been, thinking and feeling for the last however long are going to immediately dissipate. A lot of the work that we do deep down in the culture of one, sometimes it can be a little painful, and that's okay, because we can't be here until we're here. So this gives you the weekend to know what your actual needs are and decide to ask for what you need. So Instead of trying to get everything done from a desperate, cranky place, and I'm not calling you out, I've been there. The place to start is with you. Explore. This weekend, just explore. Get a little loose with it. Like, just pretend like, oh, I don't even want to do that anymore. I don't even want to do that anymore. Or it's done. It's exactly how I want it, or it's working fine. I make an impact. This doesn't mean that you don't take care of your obligations. This doesn't mean that your wants and desires where others are concerned, say your family, aren't important. They absolutely are. But I bet there are a lot of things in your life that you would be able to show up better for if you took care of yourself first. Non-negotiable. Now, a lot of my clients will say, like, I really didn't need as much non-negotiable time for myself as I thought I needed when I gave myself some. Like, it's been incredible. The goal is that if you know that you schedule time for you, if you have prepared time for the activities and things you need, or you know that's coming up, you've built it in, and you're not going to lose your way and say yes to something else instead of to you, then when your brain's like, you're burnt out, this feels hard, I'm feeling yucky in my tummy right now, you must be burnt out or it should be working, then you can check in and say, have I been making the time for what I need? Do I know what I'm passionate about? Is my time coming to take care of me? Is that all scheduled? And if that's the case, then guess what? You might just be tired. That means you sit down, you give your body a minute, you slow your mind down, you stop thinking about how you're burnt out. You can't do anything when you're thinking you're burnt out. That doesn't connect you to your passion or to your mission or to your people. That just connects you with, I'm burnt out. Check in with your body. Have a little, say it's morning. You're like, I can't do this today. I need a mental health day. Clearly I'm doing something wrong. This feels so bad. You're not. You're passionate. You're doing something. The clients I typically work with are doing something in their lives that's important, has meaning, and requires you to dig deep. And you can do that in a way that is very meaningful for you. Sit on the sofa for 10 minutes. If it means you wear your hair in a ponytail, you wear your hair in a ponytail. Give yourself a cup of coffee, give yourself a minute, and then let your brain stop thinking about your burnout and all the things you need to do, and just give yourself credit for being passionate. Listen to some Abraham Hicks, listen to someone who pumps you up, listen to some music, and pretty soon you'll be like, oh, that was actual, like, my body waking up being tired. Or maybe it's 5 p.m. You know your work isn't done, and you know tonight you're going to have to dig deep. Fine. But if there isn't a little bit of time scheduled for you, then you're never going to be able to see the evidence of where you ebb and flow. And so there are two factors there. There's the mental fatigue and the physical fatigue. When you're mental and physical fatigue, know that you've been scheduling your time and you know that you've got time scheduled for you and you understand your passions, then you have to teach your brain to get off the hamster wheel. There is no hamster wheel unless you think there is one. And if you're not honoring yourself, then you can't be on the hamster wheel. You got to get off. You got to do something different. And I don't mean stop your mission, leave your job. I mean, plan something for yourself. You're going to have to give to yourself first. Because if you take on a different mission or you take on a different job from the same mindset, then you're going to create the same result. I hear client after client say that they have so much success with being non-negotiable because it helps them be more involved in their relationships, find more time in their lives, and create more money. So this is where I would invite you to do a complimentary one-on-one with me, because we could dive into then the next steps. I've tried a few things, I'm not really sure, or I'm going to try a few things, then we can talk about, well, what are things? What do we do from obligation? How do we recognize that? That's next step. So you'd want to find me on LinkedIn or Facebook or message me, and we can set up a complimentary consult. So list right now 2 things that you desire this week that you can do before anything else for you. We're not adding time to our day. We are not doing things that do not align with you. Your brain will go mad telling you there's nothing in your schedule that you can not do. There is. It's not, make yourself non-negotiable. Like, cannot leave the dishes. You have to change the sheets. You need to send that last email. Maybe so, but not before you get what you need. Evidence shows that the shit we let go, others do not notice, and you are more available. And pardon my French. Mental fatigue. When we think, we have to think about what we are thinking about. Whatever you want really, really badly, move your brain to something that you love really, really much for a little while. We want to get to the absolute other end. Thinking about this, it's coming. We want to open up a space for that creativity to be in us, so that will help us create new solutions we haven't had before. And it doesn't come from thinking we're burned out, I'm going to stop this one. We often try to make people agree with us, and we get so dang tired trying to change all the people. That creates a lot of mental fatigue too. So the culture of one will remind you, like, am I trying to change anything outside of myself right now? Because if I am, I got to let that go. And for nurses, it's hard. We like to die on a sword. We like to be martyrs, and that's okay. I've been there. Physical fatigue. Our brains make physical fatigue mean something about us when we do not make decisions that help us function. And again, you don't need 8 more hours of sleep in a day. You don't need to get up earlier. You don't need to take more naps until you know what's there. Until, like, you can't say what you need until you start a little bit at a time, giving yourself a couple minutes a day, do something that's non-negotiable for you. And that might be what I call and learn from my mentor, super thinking, allowing yourself to just sit and think and shift. How you think about yourself in the world is the next thing I want you to think about. And then we're about to get on out of here. Yes, at work, in 2 sentences, write out what your version of you is in your mind. Or it could be at home, but I think that's a great place to start. That will tell you if you're really aligned with what you want and tiring yourself out, or if we can clarify more. Because you might be telling yourself, I want to work less, but you're embarking on your brain might be telling you the reason you're getting burnout is because your brain is saying, you've got to work less. But your mind has been telling you, I'm excited about this work and I really want to do this work. And so that's like 2 different spectrums there. You know, your brain is like, work less. And you're like, I'm so excited about this. I'm so passionate. I love it. I want to do it. And those 2 together just mean you're probably feeling a little pull there. And so you can work less and do as much as you want. That's a different workshop. But just notice that that could be where some burnout is. And that's why I want you to check in, what are your passions? Maybe your real passion is more days off. And you're used to being excited about certain projects. Maybe the project you need to get excited about is having more time off and letting abundance take you. This is kind of will work, but it's mind and body. And I would love if you could find if there's those 2 things there. Or maybe you're trying to make more money and you don't want to work more. And you probably don't believe that more money and working less are possible, because we're typically born in a time is money, hours is money. And really, it's how well and clear we're thinking that creates money for us. How you think and talk about yourself matters, even how you talk to yourself inside yourself and to other people. And so I'm just going to say that it is an opinion to get that you're on the hamster wheel. It is an opinion that you're burned out. And I'm going to stand by that. I geek out on this shit. You don't ever have to be burnt out if you don't want to. And if you want to, that's your permission to say, I don't have to do that. And when you let that go, things might change altogether. In closing, I want to applaud all of you. I know that nurses, clinicians, doctors are changing the world as we know it. Having a vision is a choice. If you make decisions from feelings that come from your visionary thinking, then your brain will look for entirely different things. If you make decisions from feelings that come from your visionary thinking place, then your brain looks for entirely different ways to go about your day. And that's when I invite you to be non-negotiable. You will be delighted. If you want to make a change in your life, you can do it. Look, all of this is a great place to start. In the culture of one, we work with mind and body, how our body remembers things is valuable because sometimes it feels like trauma and it's really courage. I invite you to schedule that complimentary consultation with me so that we can talk about specific issues that you have and feelings, and that we can talk about goals and set you up with some strategies. I'll see you then. Thank you so much for being here.